down. Hello, Bob. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
What's happening? What's making the dollar go up and the rest of the world go down?
Well, I think it's not a matter of the dollar going up. It's a matter of the interminable problems in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there is great consternation over the method which Greece will or might be revived. The European bankers continue to try to get collateralization on any money that they lend. Secondly, the Germans, via the German people, are not so much interested in collateralization. They're interested in the bondholders, which are the banks, sharing part of the burden. And the banks don't want to do anything except loot Greece. Everything's at a standstill. The opposition party in Greece is saying, no, we're not going to do that. The meathead who runs the country, George Papadreou, he says, we're going to have a vote. He's 30 votes short, 20 from the other party and 10 from his own party. And, of course, anybody who votes for this in his party is politically doomed permanently if they don't get killed. I mean, they've had demonstrations 17 days in a row, 150,000 people in the street every day, and on Sunday they had 2 million in Athens and the other large cities. A lot of people came in from Crete and the islands, and they swelled the crowds in and around the big cities.
Sounds like the Arab Spring is turning into a Mediterranean summer.
I guess so. But there's more important news than that. I was just on my regular Friday program with Alex Jones. Mm-hmm. He's got 2 people on the scene at St. Moritz in Switzerland. And they have been in touch with 4 members of Parliament and 1 additional member who is the head of the Conservative Party in Switzerland. And about an hour ago, they marched on the guard contingent that was surrounding the hotel where these meetings are being held. And these guards are not Swiss. They were hired as a contingent from Eastern Germany. And so these guys are but a bunch of goons. And they are marching on these guards to tell them, look, we're here with the House of Representatives, the Parliament, whatever you want to call it, here in Switzerland, and we want to arrest Henry Kissinger because we have a warrant for his arrest. And we want these criminals to curtail their meeting and get out of the country. So this is really going to cause super-duper problems. And so it's no wonder the market was down 169 and the dollar was strong, because the euro took it in the chops today, because the euro is going to be the one that suffers because of what's going on along with the bankers and along with the Illuminati. So it is a red letter day for us people who have been fighting these evil criminals for so many years. We busted them right out into the open. And so that's a little bit more than everybody expected. You mentioned Kitco early in the program and their information. I'm surprised they have any up at all, because they're under criminal indictment in Canada for tax evasion.
Yeah, matter of fact, I've got an article here from Revenue Quebec in Montreal, or CTV. In any case, they report that a lot of, and I wanted to talk to you about this, a lot of residents and businesses in Montreal area got a nasty surprise yesterday when 175 Revenue Quebec agents came calling The agency is investigating what it claims is a network of people and companies that used a massive gold refining scam to rob Quebec and federal treasuries. They allege that there's $150 million in provincial tax that hasn't been paid. The article continues, and they do name Kitco down toward the end of the article. It said one company under investigation is Kitco Metals. It issued a statement early today saying it has never participated in any tax fraud. Nor has it carried out any fictitious transactions. Kitco said it vigorously contests the allegations and has mandated a law firm to evaluate all available recourses.
Well,
there's something about the language to evaluate all available recourses that I find disturbing.
Revenue Quebec and Revenue Canada are not going to go to that extent unless they have oodles of evidence.
Yeah. Number
one.
Yeah.
Number two, incidentally, Doug Casey owns part of that company.
Kitco?
That's right.
Okay.
And I've accused them in articles 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago of deliberately giving in-court quotes. And I said I believe that they are on the short side of the market. And as an aside, it'll be interesting to see what's in their omnibus accounts that they were holding for other people. Because they could have been naked short for all we know. And Revenue Canada will find that out, Revenue Quebec. And Revenue Quebec has a long record of dealing with criminals because Montreal is the hub of criminality in Canada. So Revenue Quebec knows what they're dealing with. This is not Vancouver or Alberta or Ontario. These guys who work for Revenue Quebec have great long experience in dealing with this sort of thing. But getting back, so they threatened to sue me. So I said, go right ahead and do it. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I have suspected for years that they've been on the short side of the market, and I think they've been feeding U.S. authorities information. And
when you say information, you mean information about people who are buying gold from them? Precious metals?
Not only that, I think they've been playing the short side of the market in conjunction with the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve. Again, I can't prove that.
Tell me what you mean exactly when you say they're playing the short side of the market.
I see what goes on there, and I've always suspected they were doing something.
Can you explain what you mean by playing the short side of the market? How is it that they're doing that, and what does that consist of?
Well, first of all, people come and they buy coins, and they take delivery of their coins.
Okay.
I'm not talking about that. They have accounts there where they hold coins for people or interest in coins. They're supposed to be holding coins of bullion in those accounts. My question is, are they?
Yeah.
I don't know. And their actions, their quotes have been perpetually wrong for years, and always to the lower side of the market. In addition to that, they have John Nadler working for them, and late Nadler has been a commentator regarding gold and silver. They don't pay him. So one has to ask oneself, well, if they're not paying him, why is he doing it, and is there somebody else paying him? So maybe there is somebody else
another way, but I get what you're saying.
And you would only find that out in discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if Revenue Canada and Revenue Quebec are told that maybe you should look into that, they will. You don't send 175 people out because you don't think they're doing anything wrong.
I understand.
And so I've always had suspicions, and they've always been nasty to me. And I know Bart Kittner. He's not an intimate friend or anything, but I've had conversations with him. And it's just should be treated as such at this point. But this action by government leads me to believe I might have been right. You know, I'm a professional, and I see what I see. I've been doing this for over 52 years. And, you know, you have a sixth sense when you're in an industry that long.
Yeah.
And from the very beginning, I had a sense that there was something wrong. And whether Casey's involved in it or whether there's anything wrong beyond what the government says, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility. And, of course, they would have to say, we didn't do anything wrong. We don't know what these people are up to. Because they have to defend themselves. They can't talk about it.
Well, I understand
because
that.
They'll just, compromise themselves.
It says here in the report that Kitco said it's also seeking to have an interim receiver appointed so it can continue operations under the supervision of an accounting firm.
Now, that's possible.
Well, I don't doubt that it's possible. But it's one of those things that just strikes me as, I understand this is big business or relatively big business, and maybe that's just standard operating procedure under these circumstances. I don't know. But it seems to me that if I'm accused of something and I'm not guilty, I don't know that I'm likely to turn management of my business over to some interim receiver. I think I might just tough it out.
I wouldn't let them operate otherwise, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that detail.
I understand.
And I have the article from the Globe and Mail coming in right now, which is a newspaper in Toronto, which is probably the leading city in Canada. And once it comes in, it will go in tomorrow's International Forecaster, and I'll put it in the link section both under U.S. and gold.
Okay.
So people won't miss it. Because I think there's a lot more here than meets the eye.
How significant is this?
Revenue Canada and Revenue Quebec that something was going on.
How significant is this in terms of impact on gold market? Is this just a little bit of gossip, essentially? One company has run into some trouble, and it's going to be embarrassing, and perhaps there may be some personal liability for them, but it's not going to have any real effect on the gold market? Or is this evidence of something that's more serious?
Well, I think the seriousness is the charges, and then what they find beyond the charges. I mean, if everything is the way it should be, I would think that they would want to continue to operate under a receiver, which they've done or requested. This only broke today. The government was in there a couple of days ago and doing what they had to do or what they wanted to do. And this is pretty serious stuff because, to have that many inspectors,
agents
swoop down.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a lot to this. Maybe the mafia up there is involved. I don't know.
Well, there's another point.
The industry, it'll have no effect. I mean, this scads, the coin deal is all over Canada and the United States, so it's not a factor from that point of view, unless some of them were involved with them, which they may have been, but I don't think so.
But it's going to cast a certain amount, well, at least it may. It may cast a certain amount of doubt on the idea of allowing someone else to hold your coins.
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure, because it just goes to show you that things can happen which are beyond the scope of the individual and beyond the scope of a company. We don't know the details. That it may be gory as heck. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they could have been doing, and then again, they may have done nothing at all, except play the short side of the market, which Revenue Canada really isn't interested in. They're interested in the taxes.
They've estimated, according to this report, $150 million in provincial taxes missing on $1.8 billion in sales revenue. That strikes me as fairly serious. Somebody's, they've got to be taking that fairly serious. Here's one of the things that crosses my mind. Given that this investigation is taking place in Canada, and given that they have 175 agents involved already, this thing has momentum. This is not going to, they're not just going to go forward and they're going to say, oh, gee, nothing really has happened here, and they're just going to drop it. This has a certain amount of momentum, and now it's moving forward, and it's not likely to stop short of a final destination. It's likely to go a long way. Given that this investigation is taking place in Canada, is it likely to uncover criminal activity, unethical activity in the United States that might not have been easily exposed in this country just because of political considerations? American investigators might not find it. Canadian investigators might be able to point fingers back into the country. Are we likely to see that?
Possible.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on if Kitco and Casey have had a working relationship with the United States government.
Uh-huh.
That's another factor that nobody's even thinking about.
I understand.
Because we don't know where they're coming from and who they're connected with. There's so much criminal activity in the world today.
Yeah.
At all levels.
Mm-hmm.
Anything is possible.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important that you know who you're dealing with. People that wouldn't do things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I need go no further. You know what I'm talking about. You deal with tried and true people, and leave it at that.
Well, I'll jump in then for this, and mention Discount Gold and Silver. They've been at it for 15 years, and Melody runs the program, and it's straight up and honest, and you're not going to get caught in this kind of a problem dealing with someone like Discount Gold and Silver. Again, principal sponsor of the program, but there's a point to what Bob is saying right now. Well, we'll watch and see how this unfolds. What's going to happen to Kitco in the meantime? How are they?
Well, they shut them down, so they'll have to get a court order if they want to stay in business, and that's going to take a while.
Okay.
It has to go through the province of Quebec, and as I told you, they have great experience in this kind of thing, not in coins, but in this kind of crime, major tax evasion, or at least that's what government says. And that involves fraud and conversion. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that could be a problem. And so, you don't know where it's all going to go. It may go nowhere other than them proving that they're innocent. But
that's not likely.
Circumstances, I don't think so.
If they can do that, there's going to be whoever is responsible for this investigation and sending out 175 agents. There are going to be people in positions of power in Canada who are going to be looking for new jobs.
There's 125 companies that are alleged to have taken part in this scheme. And I don't know how that works.
Well, I'd say that would be one suspicious thing for me.
They deal in gold. Why would 125 companies be involved with them?
That strikes me as improbable. It would be the one weak thing, particularly in the allegations. I can guarantee you that if I was going to hold up a bank...
Al, they might have been selling something like, we can show you how to get around taxes by doing this.
That might be.
And they might have been selling that. It could be anything.
Again, if I was going to hold up a bank, I guarantee I would not look for 125 partners. I guarantee some of them.
I wouldn't look for any if I thought I could do it.
Well, I understand. I mean, the more people you bring in, the more weak links you have in your scheme. It does sound improbable that they bring in 125 co-conspirators. Essentially, that becomes unmanageable. Nobody's used that word co-conspirator besides me, at least not to my knowledge, but you understand my point.
Yeah. I mean, what we're talking about is possibilities, because we really don't know. I brought it up because of my suspicion over the years, which could have been totally wrong, but I don't think so.
Well, it's like you say, after you've been at it for 50 years, you get an intuition. You can read between the lines. All right? You know what's going on.
I'll probably get sued tomorrow.
They hold up a sheet, and you can't see what's actually going on behind the sheet. But after 50 years you know what's going on behind the sheet.
Yeah. And this is at the Superior Court level, and the only level higher than that is the Supreme Court of Canada. So they're operating. There certainly is something here.
This is something big, and they're going to move quickly on this. This is going to be interesting.
Well, if they sue me, they're going to have to fine me, and that's going to be very, very difficult.
Well, they can find me if anybody's looking. I'm not hard to find, but I don't think anybody's trying to shoot me right now, other than maybe an ex-wife or two. I'm not sure they might be interested, but other than that. Let me ask you this about Greece. We started the program talking about the situation in Europe, how it affects the dollar, the price, the perceived value of the dollar, and this goes to Greece. Is Greece really a significant story in relationship to the United States, or are we witnessing just a kind of political theater that's taking place in Europe right now?
No, this is
significant
stuff. There's no theater here. And how it affects the United States, it's a chain reaction. Mm-hmm. If I was a European banker, after I had threatened them with collateralization, and we're not going to give you any more money, now what's happened is the opposition party, whose name I can't pronounce, Mr. Samaras, or whatever his name is that runs that party, he knows what's going on. And now all of the Greek people do, because Alex Jones and Max Kaiser and Bob Chapman have been all over the television and radio and in the newspapers for a year and a half, telling these people how they're getting screwed. And we've created a monster for the bankers. So now the tables are switched. And the Greeks are saying, hey, you give us a sweetheart deal, great interest rates, extend everything. It may look like a partial default. That's okay. Give us some breathing room. Give us a break. Stop trying to loot our country. If those bankers don't do that, and they default, there's 33 banks that are holding over $100 billion worth of Greek paper. Never mind the paper from Ireland, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, and Italy. Now, this is the Rothschilds, the royal families, which is called the Alpha Group. This is the Illuminist criminals who are doing this. They were trying to steal the whole country.
We're going to have to return to that. We're going to take a commercial break for a moment. Bob will be back in about 3 minutes, and we will be back to talk more about the Alpha Group. I'm Alfred Addiscon here with Bob Chapman. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net, around the world and on satellite.
Record budget deficits, bankruptcies galore, and the U.S. dollar is at an all-time low. With today's gloomy economic outlook, safe investments are often hard to find. For over a decade, Melody Cedarstrom at Discount Gold and Silver Trading Company has been helping people secure their future by investing in the precious metals. Melody has the honesty, integrity, and experience that is often lacking in the precious metals business. Let her put it to work for you. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
Hi, Nicholas here. I used to lug those big jugs to the market to fill with water from those coin-operated filter machines, 25 cents a gallon or 5 gallons for $1. I used to. Then I got the big Berkey. Now I save my back and hundreds of dollars too. I was paying $600 for the same 3,000 gallons of water that a pair of black Berkey filters will provide from my own tap for only $99. This means that your Berkey water system will entirely pay for itself with only 1,500 gallons of use. And then you will still have 1,500 gallons left before you need to replace the filters. Do the math. Stop throwing your money away on bottled water and filter dispensers that may or may not be delivering as promised. For a limited time, First Amendment Radio is offering 10% off on the most popular Berkey water systems. Visit the shopping page at firstamendmentradio.com or call us at 559-781-3773 for more information. Leave your name and address and we'll send you this special offer. Do it now. First Amendment Radio is an authorized distributor of Berkey products. The Greatest Prophecy DVD from Cross the Border Productions. Embrace the little-known but greatest prophecy given by the great high priest. The pre-incarnate Messiah reveals God's once secret plan for mankind. Believe it. Behold, the end times in Daniel chapter 2, because
the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
It is the key to prophecy future. Comprehend the 7-year Great Tribulation deception. Be not deceived. Understand the great prophecy delusion, because
if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Be forewarned. America in prophecy, exposed for all to see. The mark of the beast. No, it's not a biochip. A much better and more secure technology is already here, and you are already using it. 2 copies, one for you and one for you to give away when you send a support donation of $25 to First Amendment Radio. Use the chip-in event on our website or send $25 cash to First Amendment Radio, 139 East Tulare Avenue, Tulare, California, 93274. Make copies and give them away. Send $25 cash for 2 copies of the Greatest Prophecy DVD. That's First Amendment Radio, 139 East Tulare Avenue, Tulare, Tulare, California, 93274. A wise man is forewarned and prepares for the time to come. The Greatest Prophecy DVD.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net, around the world and on satellite.
You always said, cards will never do you wrong. The trick is...
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alfred Addis. This is Financial Survival, brought to you by Discount Gold and Silver at 1-800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs. My guest is Bob Chapman. I'm sitting in for Melody Cedarstrom. Because of the downturn in the price of gold, she's got a little more business than usual. And she and the rest of the elves at her facility are making little packages and getting them off in the mail for all the good little boys and girls who have ordered gold and silver coins. So she's got me sitting in here today. We're talking to Bob Chapman. We're talking about the significance of Greece and whether it's political theater or at least not directly relevant to the United States. Bob is saying that, it is relevant. And we've got a domino effect going on. You mentioned the Alpha Group, what you referred to as the Alpha Group of Rothschilds and other heavy hitters who have invested in Greece, and they are perhaps on the verge of losing that investment or seeing it diminished significantly.
It's not only the investment in Greece. There's far more at stake here. Just like in the United States, the major banks in Europe are broke. They leverage themselves to the eyeballs, and they got in serious trouble. And the overrun on this whole thing is that now the banks either do what they're told by the Greeks, or the whole thing's coming apart. And how does that affect the United States? If the banks in Europe go down, it's going to affect the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And the losses are going to be colossal because they're all keeping two sets of books.
Yeah.
And the Bank for International Settlements, which is the banker's bank in Basel, Switzerland, they said that's okay. And the FASB, which is an accounting organization,